So, hello to all. Once again, welcome to some of the interesting discussion in biological sciences. So, I'm excited to discuss one of the very well-known uh, understanding in cell biology. That is, we know the definition of the cell. We also know the cell theory. Okay, so I would like to discuss today that whether there is any scope to expand or the improvise the definition of the cell and also the cell theory in the context of various other evidences, cell-based data, experimental proof, etc. So the whole today discussion is, can we improve or redefine, or is there any scope to redefine or repropose the cell and the cell theory? Okay, so I am Professor Nilesh Kumar Sharma. Once again, welcome to all. So the first, so I represent this institute, Dr. Devagati Vidyapith today, and this is our one of the small research lab. Fine. So first, those are, beginner or those are interested in cell biology. So we have to revisit the definition of the cell. Those are available in the literature. Then we can think upon what are the scope where we can redefine the cell, right? So my dear friend, if you look at here, this is from the one of the reliable sources, the NCI. So in biology, the cells are defined as the smallest unit, right? Look at me. That can live on its own. It has all the mechanism, machinery like DNA, protein, RNA, metabolism, etc. And that makes up all the living organisms, starting from the prokaryotes to the eukaryote. And also these are the part of the tissues of the body. Like, we know a human body, for example, is made up of more than 10, 20 trillions of human cells. And even surprisingly, in the human body, more than trillions of the human cell, there are also the microbial cells, right? No? So altogether, you can say the human body is composed of trillions of prokaryotic cells and also the eukaryotic. Fine. Another definition, in the literature is also very well known. That is, cells are defined as basic, functional, and the structural unit of living organisms. In a very simpler way, if I say functional units, that means like in the, for example, human body, tissues are there. So the individual cells, it can be immune cell, it can be skin cell, it can be muscle cell, etc., liver cell. So it performs certain functions, activities, right now. And that is why it is logically functional, correct? And the structural units. So these trillions of the cell in the human body all together, and not all together, in a certain structure, it creates a certain tissue structure, then organ, then system, then as a whole human body. So definitely it is well known that is structural and functional unit of living organism. There is no any doubt, okay. So the question is, where is the scope? Can we add upon certain new or redefine the cell? And also the most important is that is cell theory. Okay, so I would like to come to the next part. Yeah. So my dear friend, so so as I discussed, so this is the existing definition of the cells, that is basic, functional, structural unit of life, living organism of the body. Can we redefine the cell based on the evidences? Cells can be defined as the basic, that is fundamental, you can say, structural, functional, as I suggested earlier, and already existed. Third new dimension is, or the scope, what I think, it can be the destructional unit of life, living organism. And I would like to defend here why cell can be added with the attributes of destructional unit of life or living organisms or the body system. I will try to defend later on. First, we have to think, can we go for the redefinition of the cell, or is there any scope to redefine the cell by the one attributes that is in the form of cells have or can have one attribute that is destructional unit of life. Okay. Now I would like to go to then we will discuss. That is, here is the moment. Now I will come to the point where we know the cell theory, and it is also important to acknowledge the classical cell theory was proposed by Theodor Swan in 1839. Okay, so if you look at the cell theory, the classical one, the first the proposition or the theory is the tenet one, that is all organisms are composed of one or more cells. Like so bacterial, one cell system, single cell, and the human, you can say, or the animals are multicellular. That is well acceptable. The tenet two is the cell is the basic unit of structure and organization in the organism, or in the human body, or in the tissue units. That is also well acceptable. The tenet three is the cells, look at here, arise from pre-existing cells. Well acceptable. Like one bacteria will give rise to the two bacterial cell, one human cell will give rise to the two human cell after the cell division. Correct? No? And it is well acceptable. Every evidences are there. So what is the dimension or the scope to add upon the new aspect is the tenet one. Look at here, this one. So this tenet one, what I extend the proposition that besides this tenet one, that is all organisms are composed of more than one cell, or one more than one. Cells are structural and organizational units. Cells arise from pre-existing. So the fourth one can be this way. Cells can be induced to death by self or by other cells. Hence, cells are basic destructional unit of life. So the tenet 4, it proposes here that cells are destructional unit of, and the cells can be destructional unit of the life. It can be through the self, like programmed cell death, apoptotic cell death. So like once bacterial cell is also having certain mechanism for programmed cell death. Multicellular system like human cell, animal cell, plant cell also has the mechanism of programmed cell death. Right now, so I would like to show you that is okay. So here is the point. Okay. Yeah. So my dear friend, if you look at here, this is the illustration for the one cell, like cells arise from the pre-existing cell. This is for the structural and functional unit. And the most important, what I would like to show you here, that is this one. Look at here. So what we propose the cell like this one, if you look at here. Yes. So this is the illustration of the cells can go for programmed cell death or self-destruction. And another way can be that one form of the cell can induce the death upon the another cell or the target cell. And I would like to quote here certain example. One bacterial cell can kill another bacterial cell. One bacterial cell can have the mechanism of self-destruction. Second, atoms. Third, if you look at here, like immune cells. And within the immune cell, like T cell, T cytotoxic cell. So the T cytotoxic cell can induce cell death upon another cell, like for example, cancer cell, or in any other form of the cell, bacterial cell. So what is the whole intent is the 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 scope to bring another cell theory or the tenet of cell theory in the form of cells are uh, destructional unit of the life. It looks logical. However, debates are always welcome and there is always pros and cons. But the experimental evidences across from the prokaryotic cell to the eukaryotic cell, it appears logical to propose that the cells are destructional unit of life, and that is through the either self-destruction or through the induction by one cell to the other target cell. There are many examples. However, I'm not going to discuss here, but that is the whole intent to discuss. Is there any scope to redefine or repropose certain aspect of cell definition and the cell theory? Thank you very much for listening, and I'm sure you might have developed certain insights and interests in the field of cell biology or molecular biology or tissue or many more. Okay?